Who wants a Rotman Commerce backpack? So this is what you get when you come into the program. So if you don't want a backpack, I'm not understanding why you're here exactly. Well, this is something that we give to the first year students that come in, okay? It's something new this year. My name is Jeff Trapp. I'm the Associate Director of Recruitment and Admissions at Rotman Commerce. Thank you for your interest. I think most of you have one of our view books. If you don't have it, you can come and grab it on the way out. And also my business card. Anything that you have, any questions about the program, you can contact me directly and I'll help you as best I can, or I'll direct you to someplace else that can help you, okay? So if you don't have one of those, you should grab it as well. Also, my tablet is going around the classroom. You want to hold up the tablet very quickly, please? Just hold it up so you can see. So this blue tablet is going around for you to sign up as well. We can get you on our contact list. We know that we met you here. So if you contact me later on in the year, I'll say, was she at the presentation? Was he at the presentation? I can have a look at that tablet and see if you were there or not. So my role is to help decide who's coming into the program. So I'm going to speak generally about Rotman Commerce, and then I'll open it up to questions. Now, one of the really nice things about University in Canada, I know there's a lot of international students here, so maybe they're not as aware, is that you're going to get a good education. Regardless what university you go to in Canada, you'll get a good education. But I don't want you to go to another university. Okay? I want you to come to University of Toronto, specifically Rotman Commerce if you're interested in business. We do have business programs on the other two campuses at Scarborough and Mississauga, and you'll get a good education there. You're not going to make a mistake, but I'm here to talk about Rotman Commerce. Was anybody at the open house on the 22nd of October? Okay, so this will be new to you. This is just what our program looks like. You see, we have a lot of students from all over the place, almost 40 countries. This is the first year students, so they're all over the place. From all over the place. We get a lot of applications. This is our gender breakdown. A lot of engagement in terms of outside of Canada within our program. This is just a snapshot, give you an idea who you're going to go to school with. Okay. Now I'd mentioned you'll get a good education, but we are different. These are the three things that we think make a difference about our program: the location, the breadth, and the faculty. The location, not just Toronto, but downtown Toronto. Why is this an advantage? Toronto is the third largest finance center in North America, behind New York and Chicago. I've actually seen it ranked a couple of places ahead of Chicago. Not enough for me to say confidently number two, but third largest, maybe second largest. So that means you get easy access to corporate partners. So this is very important for you in terms of your job search. Makes things a little easier for you. Last year, our Career Center had relationships with about 300 different corporate partners. This year already, there's been 70 corporate partners physically onto our campus to meet with our students. So what happens when you meet with corporate partners? Sometimes they're just interview sessions, networking, information sessions where you find out about the company, find out about a fit. Now, big companies are going to go everywhere. They have the resources to do that. So they can go to another city outside of Toronto very easily. But small and medium companies come to visit our students as well. That can be really interesting for students working in a smaller company because they get to do a lot of different things. But if it's a big firm that you want to work for, don't worry, they certainly come to see our students as well. Because it's such a large finance center, most of our graduates want to stay in Toronto as well. They want to work in Toronto. So the advantage for you is that our alumni network is centered in Toronto. Last year, we had about 700 alumni volunteer with our program. That's a huge number. You're able to meet with them for mentorship, through knowledge transfer, networking, information sessions. So it's a really helpful tool for you in your career search as well. So your access to corporate partners, your access to alumni are really enhanced if you're in Toronto with us. It's a really big deal in business to have networking. The second thing we would talk about is the breadth of our program. We are a program within the Faculty of Arts and Science. This is the largest faculty in Canada. There's over 300 other programs, over 4,000 courses, over 50 different languages. Can anybody think of 50 languages? Maybe not. Sort of rhetorical. I get stuck at about a dozen or so. So you're able to do something else in addition to business. So you can do accounting and maybe you have a bit of a hobby in astrophysics. You can still do that. Or you want to do some psychology or poli-sci or chemistry. Anything within those 300 other programs you can do in addition to your business program. Third thing we talk about is the teaching faculty. We are part of the Faculty of Arts and Science, like I mentioned, but we're also part of what's called the Rotman School of Management. That is the professional business faculty, where the MBAs, the PhDs, the Masters of Finance students, that's where they study. What we share with them is teaching faculty. They are ranked 3rd in the world for research output, so you're getting access to new business knowledge as it's being created. We're a top 10 school in the world to study finance at. We have 3 professors on something called the Thinkers 50 list, which is a ranking that comes out of the UK every 2 years. It ranks influential business thinkers. So we have Richard Florida is ranked 14th. He's an urban theorist. Roger Martin is ranked 7th. He's a consulting guy. He was the dean for 15 years, which is a long time to be a business dean. But he's still on faculty. And Don Tapscott is ranked 3rd or 4th, I think 4th. He's really big into blockchain right now, looking at that. I'd mentioned that Roger used to be the dean, so we have a dean that replaced him about 3 years ago. His name is Tiff Macklem. Does that name ring a bell with anybody? Okay, I bet you've probably read his name and you didn't even know who he was. Just give me a moment here. I'm going to pull out some money, but I'm not going to give it to you. Okay, if you have any Canadian money on you, that's our dean right there. He's Deputy Governor of the Bank of Canada. So he signed all the bills that you have, most of them anyways, except for the brand new ones. So that's who the business dean is. Those 3 things are themes that we continue to talk about with our students. I usually get more of a reaction with the money piece. I'm a little bit tough crowd. Okay. This is how the program is set up. There's 3 specialists. In the Faculty of Arts and Science, you can do a specialist, a major, and a minor. Rotman Commerce is only for specialists. What that is a greater concentration of courses in the area. In your first year, there'll be 3 required courses. You'll do a calculus for commerce students, which is a full year course. You do an introduction to economics, which is also a full year course, and an introduction to management, which is a half-year course. So those are required courses. There's 3 optional courses as well that you can do, or you'll have to do them eventually. So you can do them in your first year or do them later. It's a finance course, an accounting course, and a marketing course. This can help you maybe decide what you want to follow. But if you know what you want to do and you want to play with those other courses in your first year from those 300 other programs, you can do that as well. So that's what first year looks like. After your first year, you would choose one of these specialists, so the accounting, the finance, and economics, or the management. You see there's a cluster of concentrations under management, so you can focus on one of those if you want, or you can be a generalist and do all of them. In accounting, there's 2 different streams. Most of the students will do the public accounting because that leads to the CPA. That's the pathway. So very few will do the financial reporting and control, but you're welcome to. Finance and economics, a lot of students are looking for a CFA designation at that point. Okay. Now you're not tied to that. If you spend your second year in one of these specialists and you decide you don't like it, you can change your mind again. There's a lot of flexibility built into the program. Because you're still getting a foundation in all those other functional areas of business as well. So think flexibility with the program. I'm going to focus on a couple of things here. I know we have a lot of international students here, so you're getting an international experience right now. You can also get more in different areas once you're into the program. So all universities will have things like exchanges. I think the advantage of a place like U of T is we're able to scale it and give you a lot more choice in terms of places that you want to go. So you can do a year at a university that you take their courses, you transfer the credits back. You can do it for a half a year. You can also, if you'd like, just do it in the summer. Take a summer course somewhere else with a U of T professor and a U of T classmates called a summer abroad. And you get a credit, you get a great international experience, and it's a fun way to do that as well and get U of T quality that you're doing it. Even within the program, I'd mentioned the diversity that we have within the classroom, so you're going to get a lot of access to that. But even the professors, over half of the population of the professors, they have some sort of training outside of Canada. So it's a very dynamic, very international footprint that we have through our students and our faculty as well. Okay. So where do they end up? You can see the circle graph there. It gives you a bit of an idea of currently where our students are ending up. This shifts slightly from year to year. We have our own career center. It's only for Rotman Commerce students. We don't share services with the MBAs or with the other undergraduates. It's just for you. So they'll do everything from one-on-one counseling with you. You sit down with them and discuss your career path. They'll also do some self-inventory. If you're sure that you want to study business, but you're not sure what area of business, you'll be able to discuss and understand what your strengths and interests are to make that decision. They'll do things like get you ready for interviews with mock interviews. They'll look at your resumes. They'll have dining etiquette, particularly in finance. Quite often you have to go for dinner interviews. So learning which knife and which fork to use and which is your water glass and which is your bread plate is important. It sounds a bit maybe superficial at this point, but it's not. It's important. Also, wardrobe consultants come in, teach you how to dress for the job. I see it's pretty easy for you to dress every morning now. You know, you put on a uniform, so it'll be kind of like a uniform. Like for me, I put on a suit and a tie every day. That's my uniform. Okay. So they'll teach you how to do that as well. So they're really ramping up the offerings. So when I go back to those specialists in the last slide, we have what we call a relationship manager for each of those areas. So there's somebody specifically who will deal with finance students, somebody for accounting students, somebody for management students. They're the liaison between the corporate partners and the student. So it's a progression in terms of how you're building your career. You're not just showing up in the 4th year and saying, where's my job? Give me a job interview. You're having to build on skills that you're doing throughout the program. And they're going to be working with you for internships in the summer as well. Corporate partners are coming in looking for students. Happens a lot more later on in the program. First year, most companies are not that interested yet. Some are, and certainly some students are getting internships in first year, but it's not as common as later on in the program, which I think just makes sense. So this is the career progression that I was talking about, where you would be starting off in your first year, understanding yourself and your strengths and your weaknesses, doing networking interviews, understanding companies, understanding where you're going to be working, building those relationships, and then at the end, number 5, hopefully you're in a good spot working and coming back volunteering on campus, helping students that were in your situation 4 or 5 years prior. We have quite a diverse and interesting and very engaged student body. These are groups that are only for Rotman Commerce students. They're not sharing services with the other undergrads. It's just specifically focused on a business student. These are really great ways to understand industry, get some experience that you're able to leverage with corporate partners when you meet with them. And it's also a really great way to meet with upper year students. Yes?
What is Toastmasters?
What is what?
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters, public speaking. You thought it had to do with toast?
Yeah.
Yeah. So public speaking, it's a group that we have. So which might be really useful if English is a second language for you, to learn and practice your public speaking in English. What I think is noteworthy is that they're actually run by staff members. What that means is there's continuity, there's value added for students when they're participating in this. I think student groups are great, but from year to year, if the students are running things, you don't exactly know if things are working properly. Because we have staff members running these programs, we know that there's a real benefit for you taking part of them. Okay. So you see most of them are a bit, the top line, there's an academic focus, more softer skills on the second row there. New this year is an entrepreneurship organization, and something I should maybe add is that we have our own business incubator for Rotman Commerce. It's called the Creative Destruction Lab. So if you are a business person in terms of wanting to start things up, it's a great place to be. We have our own executive in residence, a gentleman by the name of David Scrimgeour, who has had an extremely successful career in terms of taking companies, scaling them, and doing it again. So successful that now he teaches a course, he advises students who want to start up businesses, and he endows some scholarships. And he's a very nice guy, and he loves talking to students about their business ideas. In terms of that, right now the Creative Destruction Lab, an awful lot of work on artificial intelligence and how you scale that for business. So there's lots of great ideas that come out of Canada, a lot of really smart engineers. Where we're sort of lacking is connecting that with the business people and how do you grow that. So I'll give you a good example. I'm thinking I might be dating myself here. Maybe some of the staff can help me. Do you remember going to video stores to get DVDs, or have you always streamed things? So you used to have these big stores that you used to have to walk into to rent videos to watch, to rent a movie. This is something that I used to do when I was your age. Any people remember? Okay, it was fun, right? It was like an outing, you'd go. Now people don't want to leave their computer. But if you went to a store all the time, you would get to know the people who worked there and who usually knew a lot about movies. And they say, oh, you like this movie, so you'll probably like this movie. They used to give you recommendations. It was really helpful. Anybody have Netflix? So that happens automatically now. They've taught the machines how to do that for you. So how do we monetize that? How do we scale that? And how do we apply it to different areas of business? These are some of the, just a sort of a simple everyday example that we can talk about. Lots of other things in terms of a shift and how banks work, for example, in terms of how they're giving out information and assessing what you're doing and giving you services that are going to be useful for you. We also have some co-curricular programming. What this is, it's academic in nature, but it's not a requirement of your program. So you might want some extra training in one of these areas. So certainly on the top, one of the things we have students coming back from their summer internships and saying, I'm so glad I have this extra Excel training. It's so useful in terms of my position. I have these strong skills. I was recognized for them. So some extra work for that. If you want some more case, there's a school that's very close by that deals a lot on case, which I won't mention by name, but you can get some more from us if you want. We also have smaller communities within Rotman Commerce. Do you have houses here? Homerooms? Residences? Homerooms? So within Rotman Commerce, you're divided up into smaller groups for communities. We call them houses. And you would have leadership opportunities within them as well, and lots of leadership opportunities in terms of workshops. Also things like mergers and acquisition workshops, valuation clinics. These are things that get asked during interviews that we can help you with. Does anybody watch Dragon's Den? No? No TV? Okay. So essentially what it is, there's venture capitalists and entrepreneurs are asking them for money to help fund their businesses. They always ask, how much is your business worth? And you have to be able to understand how to do that. This is a skill that you can get through co-curricular programming. You show up on day one, we just don't say, okay, go to it. We give you a lot of support, a lot of information. There's going to be a transition from high school and certainly going to be even, I think, more of a transition if you're an international student, understanding the education system a little bit more. So we'll help you with that as well. We have what we call a learning community. You're in a small group, all the same classes, and you'll do, that's the FLIC, First Year Learning Community. You'll come in, you'll do some academic work in terms of maybe presentations or understanding academic conduct, what's okay, not okay. But we might have fun one day and go for gelato or something like that. So it's a great way to build community in your first year. It's a really strong support system. Rotman Experience Day, it's kind of like an orientation day. You might have some group work to do, understand, get to know each other, and then this year in the afternoon we went to a bowling alley restaurant. So lots of opportunity to have fun as well. Okay. Again, specific support for international students. We know there are some unique needs compared to students who have grown up here, so we want to take care of you. Your success is going to be our success, so it's for our benefit and your benefit as well. How do I get in? The big question. Everyone's waiting for this slide. Okay. So we had some questions earlier, and so I'm going to focus specifically on English. If you are presenting English facility, we don't need to see your ENG for you, unless it's one of your top 6. So if you're presenting a TOEFL or an IELTS, another way to put it is I look at your calculus and your next top 5 UR/M level courses. If English is up there, that's great. If English is your first language, you need to see your English ENG for you. Okay. We're looking probably a high 80s average, probably. Maybe mid 80s, but probably high 80s. The mean average last year to come in from Ontario was over 91%. Okay. So some students get in with lower marks. Your English, if you have to present it, can be low to mid 80s. And your calculus and vectors, probably mid to high 80s. Okay. The supplemental application, it's an online essay and video application. So one question everyone will get, we're going to basically ask you what you do outside of the classroom. So what makes you so amazing other than getting great marks? So you can be as braggadocious as you want with that. The next essay question will be random. You don't know what it is. It's just going to pop up and you're going to have to answer it. After you do that, you go to the video. Again, it's random. And there's like a bank of 100 questions, so you don't know what it's going to be. We used to have less questions, only about 5, and really, not surprisingly, they ended up on the internet very quickly. So everybody knew what the questions were. So now we have about 100 questions. If you can memorize them, that's fine. Go ahead. Okay. And so the video part, what happens is the question, some guy pops up. Guy pops up on your screen, it's me, and I ask you a question. You'll have a minute to think about it, 2 minutes to respond. Okay. What we're looking for is an understanding of leadership, community, your ability to convey that, your interest and your passion for business. So just like me asking you a question, it's just that we get so many applications, I can't do it for everybody, so we use the video instead. There's really nothing to worry about. It's just me asking you a question, that's it. Ms. Rong said that some students are quite nervous about it. No need to be nervous. Really easy. So I'm sitting here talking to you right now. Same thing. That's all it is. So you even recognize the face. Different suit, same face. Okay. Now, if you want to be considered in the first 2 rounds in February and March, you'll need to do that supplemental application before December 19th. December 19th is my last day in the office until winter break. So I have to get everything done by then out to the assessors. So if you want to be considered February or March, get that in before December 19th. It's only an hour of your time, even less than an hour. But put aside an hour, you'll be fine. Okay? If you don't get it in by then, maybe you'll be considered, but there's not a guarantee. Nobody's refused until May. Okay, so if you don't get it in by then, you might not find out until May, but again, for that consideration for those first 2 early rounds, you need to get it in before that date. Don't wait till the 18th. Do it as soon as you can. So, you can ask me questions now, but if you want to ask questions later, probably just use my card. You can get me directly, or you can send it to a general email there as well. If you want to contact a current student, I know we have one working in our office right now. She's a second-year student, and we just call her Dee. I actually don't even remember what her full name is. She says, just call me Dee. So she works in our office. She might be able to answer that question. If the ambassador email. If you want to go on a social media platform, just Google Rotman Commerce Admissions, get on there. You can ask questions. And that's my Twitter handle if you want to follow. I do a lot of little university type of things on there, and also a little bit about myself if I'm doing a trip somewhere or something.